Hi everyone, my name is Asaf, and these are my teammates, Nick and James. And this semester we worked on ScratchPaper. ScratchPaper is a simple platform that connects innovative ideas with developers who are capable of bringing them to life. So as many of you know, a lot of today's biggest problems are solved using technology. From education to medicine, technology has made its way into every other field that exists today. While many problems have been solved using technology, there are still so many ideas out there for new technologies that simply do not get heard, ideas that could really benefit a lot of people. ScratchPaper aims to make these ideas be heard and turn into real products. So this is how ScratchPaper works. The main page is very simple. The user can browse through ideas that are summarized in a sentence or two. A user can follow an idea that they find interesting, meaning that if I'm following an idea, I'm saying that I find it useful and interesting, and I want to know what updates are being made to the product and to be notified when the product comes out. So as a user, I'm going through my daily life, and something comes up, and I have a problem, and I think to myself, how is it that there's no app or product that solves this problem for me? So I can go to ScratchPaper and post it for people to see. This is the main edit page, which asks the users guiding questions and allows users to add photos, mocks, and sketches, which will guide the user to a full vision of what the problem is and how they imagine this being solved. As a developer looking for a meaningful new product to work on, I can come to ScratchPaper and browse through these ideas. When I find something interesting, I open it up and look at all the details. If I decide this is an awesome idea and I really want to work on this, I will add myself as a contributor, and now I can come back later and update the followers on the progress I'm making on this technology. ScratchPaper also encourages collaboration by allowing developers as well as other users to post comments, ask implementation questions, and give suggestions on ways they see this technology being improved or maybe taken to a slightly different direction. We think there's a huge incentive for developers to want to work on these projects. Now, you work on a project, and you go out there and you wonder if people really want to use it, and you go look for initial users. If an idea has hundreds of followers, but no one has made it yet, not only do you know that people have interest in this, but you know that you're going to have a pool of users waiting to use it as soon as you're done. So we think there's a huge market for something like ScratchPaper. On the developer side, one of the biggest things today is the hackathon. A hackathon is a big tech competition, and between 40 to 50,000 developers compete in these competitions a year, making new products. Thousands of apps and devices are created at these events, and hundreds of them are turned into real things. What if people could go look at these ideas, see what people really want to use? More things would be developed that people really need. On the other side, it's pretty clear how something like this could be useful to everybody else. A lot of people in different industries naturally have different problems and therefore different ideas of what could help their lives. This will allow them to reach the right people who are able to create it. Let's take a very simple example. An app called Crabbler just got $5 million in funding. It's an app that lets you take a picture of a crab that you catch, and it estimates how much the crab is worth. Okay. Right, so you laugh. And when I heard this, I was like, why would someone invest $5 million in it? But I thought, no, okay. So I thought for a little bit, and I realized the crab fishing industry actually has thousands of people who could benefit from an app like this, and $1 million are lost because people are not selling the crabs for the right price, right? So it's actually by coincidence that a crab fisherman had a son who was a developer who made this, right? But a lot of times, little industries like this, their ideas and people have problems and they just don't get solved because they are so far-fetched from people like us, from developers, that these ideas just don't reach the right people. So ScratchPaper will actually allow them to do that. So I'm going to skip this for the sake of time. So ScratchPaper really has potential to change the way the tech industry works. As you guys know today, you have an idea, you develop it, you go and convince the world this idea is awesome and this is why you need to use it. But ScratchPaper is going to flip that around. This is a chance for the world to convince developers this is why my problem is important, and this is why it's worth your time to actually work on this. Thank you very much. Of course, Q&A.
There was an old site called Half Baked. Have you guys looked into that?
No, we haven't.
It was kind of like this vote up, vote down, where ideas that had merit and where you got this community together to show that, hey, this is a relevant idea and should be pursued. You might want to look into it.
Okay. We actually, one other website that we saw that does something similar to this is called Ideas Watch, but they're a little more focused on finding people trying to start companies and connecting them with developers in order to start the company together. We see this as more of an open community that will actually allow for some competition because multiple people can develop the same thing on the side. So that's what we're familiar with. We'll definitely take a look at Happy.
So 2 questions. One, your business model, and number 2, let's say Facebook gets this idea and he says, sure, I can do it in half an hour. We'll just put it on the Facebook page. So how do you protect yourselves? Or so give me an idea of both.
You guys want to talk about the business model a little bit?
Yeah. So to address the problems of business model, so there are 2 sides to this. Obviously, advertisements on the table, but we don't necessarily want to pursue this because our app is focused a lot on the user experience, and obviously advertisements tend to just detract from that. The other side is basically what we're doing is we're building a very large database of, market research of what people want and what kind of products that people want. And in the end, there are a lot of interesting problems and interesting questions we can ask and we can derive from this kind of information, and that's another potential source of revenue.
And one thing that we imagine for this, so a lot of you might know about Kickstarter, where somebody makes something and then they get invested in. Although this is sort of in the other direction, we do think that there can be a way to monetize it by investing money in ideas. Now, Kickstarter has some projects which get up to $3 million in funding. We imagine this being a little lower scale because we are talking about hackathons and stuff like that. We think this could be a great place for people to actually make much, much, much smaller investments, maybe several $100s, to kind of support an idea and maybe even create this competitive environment where people can vote on the best implementation and then those people get the money. And in addition, we could take a small percentage, kind of like Kickstarter does with their much larger investments. This could be a much earlier stage kind of thing. And also, it's a lot less scary when you're working on something that there's a lot less on the line. So it's a lot more for kind of initial projects that we hope will later turn into bigger scale things and then go to other things like Kickstarter, et cetera. So this is kind of before that. To answer your Facebook question, so I think a lot of things can be, a lot of different products, you can say, why not make a Facebook page for it? And then people can start doing the same thing. But when you have a website focused on something specific, that already changes the entire game. So you could talk about Yelp, for example, which focuses on restaurants. A lot of restaurants create a page for their restaurant on Facebook. Nobody really goes to it. It has all their times that they're open and everything. Yelp is something which optimizes on restaurants, on times that it's open, etc. This will be a lot more optimized for ideas. We envision a lot of new features, such as seeing how these ideas branch from one another, how they lead to other ideas, how do they lead to real products.
And if want to open it up for further questions.
Yeah, we'll do that right now.
Actually, I have a
Yes.
question about IP. Do you have any policy of how you manage the intellectual property that comes out
Nick,
of
do you
this?
want to
May I follow up on that question? Innovation economics says that folks who have the hottest ideas have the least incentive to reveal them. Sounds like all the folks who are going to post hot ideas are just philanthropists. They're charitable. They're donating their ideas to humanity. Why would they do that?
So this is the biggest question that we get. This is the biggest question that we get, actually. So a lot of you are in the tech industry. You're entrepreneurs. You're investors. So you think, why would somebody in their right mind put an idea out there instead of make it themselves, right? Or try to capitalize on that. But this is not for people like that. This is for people who want to benefit from something that does not exist yet. So if you saw we had a doctor on the slide, for example, a doctor has his or her own practice. And then when they think of a device that would really help their practice, they just want it to exist, right? They're not interested in making money off of it. They don't have the time for it, so they're just going to put it up there. Right? Now, as for intellectual property, we don't see people having intellectual property over the ideas that they post. So we're going to tell people, if you post an idea, it is not yours. You're letting multiple people implement it. Whoever does the best job is going to get is going to reap the benefits, but that's not, for you to do.
So just two quick suggestions. One is, I don't know if you've looked at Innocentive, which is another kind of platform like this where challenges are put out and ask for solvers. So that's something else to look at. And as you mentioned the hackathons, it made me think that this could be a good place to have to customize for hackathons. So at hackathons, the people with ideas or suggestions or needs come together with developers and programmers and designers. So this you could have the customizable kind of page for XYZ hackathon where people can post ideas and then have that sort of matchmaking service that you had originally thought about.
Thank you.
Thank you.